Good evening. The top story is a salary increase of around 22% for workers of the civil service and parastatal bodies. Cabinet has today examined the 2013 PRB report and agreed to the implementation in toto of the recommendations contained therein. The PRB report will be implemented as from the 1st of January 2013. It concerns around 84,000 employees. The report would cost the Exchequer an overall amount of 4.6 billion rupees. And abroad, there is heavy security in the Greek capital Athens as German Chancellor Angela Merkel arrives for her first visit since the Eurozone crisis erupted. Cabinet has today examined the 2013 PRB report on the review of pay and grading structures and conditions of service in the civil service, parastatal and other statutory bodies and private secondary schools, local authorities and Rodrigues Regional Assembly, and agreed to the implementation in toto of the recommendations contained therein. The report covers around 84,000 employees and 25,000 public service pensioners. The implementation of the recommendations contained in the report would cost the Exchequer an overall amount of 4.6 billion rupees. In spite of the difficult economic situation, government has agreed to effect full payment of the revised salaries as from 1st January 2013. Here are the report's main recommendations.
After 18 months of hard work, 700 meetings in Agalega, Rodrigues and Mauritius, and so many hours of analyses, thousands of figures compiled and hundreds of parameters to take into account, the Pay Research Bureau has at last released its report on salary revision. It concerns 83,000 public officers and necessitates a 4.6 billion rupee package. The report ushers in better work conditions. For example, increments will be allocated to those who have successfully completed courses in direct relation to their work. The director of the PRB says these measures are meant to boost the capability of officers in the civil service. Interest rate on car loans is going down from 7.5% presently to 4%. Duty-free facilities will be granted to other grades also. The PRB recommend that a maximum of public officers be allowed to enjoy duty-free facilities at least once in their career. The 2013 PRB report raises compensation for cases of death of an officer in the exercise of his or her duty from 1.5 million rupees to 2 million. In case of incapacity, the sum allocated has been revised upwards from 300,000 rupees to 1.3 million. Those already reckoning 33 1/3 years of service who continue to work will see their lump sum increased by 2% of their salaries each year. A public officer may contribute more than the 6% prescribed by the PRB to their pension fund. And for efficiency in the public service, all desks should be operational continuously during opening hours.
The 2013 PRB report recommends a salary increase of around 22%. The report also recommends an extension of several benefits, including duty-free facilities for cars, to a greater number of public offices. The implementation of salary recommendations of the PRB will cost 4.6 billion rupees. It took Mohan Ajayab, the director of the PRB, 18 months to prepare the report. More details on the PRB report with Mohan Ajayab.
Les grandes lignes du rapport, c'est un petit peu l'attente de tout fonctionnaire qui, après 5 ans, besoin d'un rapport.
People working in the civil service have some expectations with the report which comes after 5 years. We have made it in such a way that it satisfies all the parties concerned, that is the government, the employees and the public in general. With this report, we want to bring efficiency in the public sector. That is the civil service, Rodrigues, parastatal bodies, local authorities and private secondary schools. We have tried to simplify the way people work while writing the job description so that it's results-oriented. We laid emphasis on technology to offer an efficient service like in Singapore or New Zealand. We had a long list of demands, for example, an increase in salary, other facilities like duty rebate on cars, leaves, paternity leaves, amongst others. We had to make a balance between the salary and the benefits, because this pay review is a package of salary and benefits. For some categories of employees who are entitled to travel grant, they will be able to benefit from duty facilities for a car purchase once in their career. We have not introduced new benefits, but we have extended the existing benefits to more categories of employees. One of the factors we took into consideration while calculating salary was the cost of living to compensate the loss of purchasing power. It was around 22%. We should be happy that in such a difficult economic context, the government has accepted to pay the PRB. We believe that the civil service needs to have its share of talent. Sometimes people from the private sector say that people in the public sector are well remunerated. Well, it's quite normal, because there are great expectations for a good service in the public sector. We have to retain talent, and for that we have a retention allowance for some grades. For the police force, we have introduced a retention scheme for pilots and engineers so that they don't leave the service. Another thing we have done is streamlining. That is, we have merged some grades. Another interesting thing, the interest rate for loans taken from the civil service has been reduced from 7.5% to 4%. I think it's a good salary that we have given, and we have maintained or even improved the working conditions.
The PRB report is synonymous with a new salary conversion table. For an employee to know his basic salary in January 2013, he has to add an increment to his current basic salary and apply the conversion according to the new table.
The format of the conversion table has been changed. Now it's vertically presented. It's been made easier where you have all the current salaries and the revised salaries. Let's take an example of someone whose salary is 7,000 rupees. His salary will be converted to 8,500 rupees. Now, you must add one increment on his salary. So, 7,000 increases to 7,200. Then, in the revised column, the new salary will be 8,750, which will be paid as from January 2013. If a person's salary is 15,500 in the PRB 2008, then adding one increment, which leads to 16,000 rupees, when converted, the revised salary will be 19,500 rupees. For someone earning 50,000 rupees currently, he must add one increment and move to 51,500 rupees, then converted to 63,000 rupees according to the new report.
The base of beneficiaries has been broadened as regards the number of public officers having duty-free facilities to purchase a car and those entitled to travel grants. The 2013 PRB report, which favours maintaining the existing exemptions, comprises a drop in interest rate from 7.5% to 4% on car loans. Travel grant has also been increased. The details were given by the Deputy Director of the PRB, Alibai Hussaini.
Alibai Hussaini, Deputy Director of the PRB, said that duty-free for cars has been maintained and the base has been broadened in some cases. For example, those earning 29,000 rupees and who were receiving a travel grant of 5,500 rupees, they were not qualified for 70% duty-free. Today, they benefit from 70% duty-free. If a person has 22 years of service and is 50 years of age and has a revised salary of 35,400 rupees, he will benefit from 70% duty-free, which he was not benefiting before. Those benefiting from 100% duty exemption, this has been maintained and thus they are still qualified for 1,600 cc's or 1,800 cc's, as well as the option for car allowance. As regards car loans, the interest rate will be reduced from January 2013 and will stand at 4% instead of 7.5%. Travel grants have been revised and is now at 5,855. Those benefiting 100% duty-free, they are entitled to 9,050 rupees as travel grant. Another important thing, everyone who gets 41,250 rupees will be eligible for 100% duty-free and travel grant of 9,050 rupees, which was not the case before. Mileage allowance has been raised from 8 rupees 60 cents to 9 rupees 15 cents. Mileage for motorcycles has also been reviewed, as well as travelling allowance for those using motorcycles over a short distance. Leave provisions have been maintained. For Rodrigues, a regional assembly, they will receive more or less the same benefits as those working in Mauritius in terms of leaves, travelling, pension benefits, amongst others.
In the late afternoon, the Minister of Civil Service Affairs handed over copies of the 2013 PRB report to the main trade union representatives in the country. According to Satyadeo Mutia, the recommendations made by the PRB will help improve productivity within the public service. He praised the government's efforts. He also said that the proposed salary increase of around 22% comes at a time when all the nations in the world are facing a wave of recession.
The Minister of Civil Service said that this report has been prepared in a context where many countries have been affected by a financial crisis. The PRB report has recommended a salary rise of around 22% for the public sector employees. It will take effect as from 2013 and will be paid in full. The Minister has also announced the setting up of an implementation and monitoring program which will look into the implementation of the PRB recommendations. The PRB Report 2013 can be viewed on the government's website on www.